Hello and welcome to Coffee with Carey. Thank you for being here to play with makeup today. That's what we're doing. I've got some rules that created this look here. There's some do's and there's some don'ts. They're not necessarily mine because I don't believe in rules. I believe it's makeup. It washes off. You can play with it. You can make mistakes. You can go out looking crazy. You can come back home and start all over again the next day. Who cares? So I'm just going to be sharing with you things that I've heard along the way, picked up. Some of them make really good logical sense. Others take it as a sort of suggestion. Let's see where it takes us. I've got some different products that I haven't used here. Just some makeup fun time while we're hanging out at home quarantining. How's that sound for a couple minutes of your time? I hope you'll keep watching. Okay, so let us get started, shall we? Rule number 1 for over 50 skin is to moisturize and then moisturize again. So I did moisturize a little while ago, but I'm gonna take some of this Hydra Boost from Neutrogena in the little blue jar, and I'm going to moisturize again my neck. Let that soak in for a second, but while that's doing, I've got this CeraVe Skin Renewing Night Cream. So I'm gonna take a little bit, it's just white, and I'm gonna do it, warm it up because it's a little thick, gently but firmly under my eyes and at the outside corner. But that's a little eye cream that can soak in at the same time. I'm gonna give it a minute here, and then for our next step in moisturizing, we're gonna use a little oil. And we're going to use the Physicians Formula Argan Oil. I have one that has some little gold speckles in it, which gives a little bit of a sheen from underneath your foundation. But this is the plain one, and it has a little allure sticker here. So that means other people liked it as well. And it has a dropper. So let's give this a second, and then we will apply the oil. While I was waiting, I actually decided that we should probably use some of my CeraVe lotion, which is just a thinner cream. And I'm going to use that where I didn't put the eye cream. Now we'll let it sink in. Just going to take some of the dropper into my hands, a couple, 3 drops, and rub that in. Maybe we'll just have a little more coffee while we're waiting. Rule number 2 for over 50 skin is to not overdo the foundation. Use something a little bit lighter, maybe a little bit more luminous, definitely not something matte. It can be dewy or luminous. You just don't want anything that takes away all the dimension and life from your face. So today I picked Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in Golden Beige, and I like the finish on this. I usually use it with that luminescent oil from Physicians Formula. Today I use the other one, but I think this should work out. I'm not going to overdo it. This one has like a little spatula applicator. And the way I'm going to not over apply this is I'm not going to use a brush today. I'm going to keep it light by using a dampened beauty blender, which will allow me to, I should talk while I'm doing this, which will allow me to disperse it, and it will soak up, even though it's damp, it'll pick up any extra product. It's kind of hard to overdo the foundation if you're using a beauty blender and not doing 5 coats. You usually will need a little, you usually will need a little bit more in areas if you use the blender. For instance, the very center of my face and around my nose, even though I'm going to use concealer. Not getting close to my eyes because I don't want 2 layers of makeup under my eyes. I'd like to keep that area from having too much buildup of product. Hit my ears up a little bit. Rule number 3 for over 50 skin, and it's kind of an iffy, not so much a rule, but some of us really could benefit from using a little bit of color correcting for any darkness under our eyes. So I'm using a Laura Mercier This is Secret Concealer in number 3, and I'm just going to take a little bit on my ring finger and put it right where my dark circles are. Little bit of color correcting. That's better already, isn't it? But I'm still going to do a little concealer because I'd like to come a little lower and I'd like to do a little out there. I'm using my NARS Radiant Creamy Concealer, and this is in the color Ginger. I'm going to go right. I'll blend it towards the center a little bit. I'm going to use my Stila brush that I just love, the 33 brush. And I'll start out here, the outer corner of my eye where it gets a little pink. And what's left over I will bring into the corner and go over that color corrector. Not a rule, but there's no reason that if you are over 50, you can't use a little highlighter. I know some people don't want to be too shiny, but I think if you don't overdo it, it can be very flattering. It's the NARS Copacabana Multi-Stick, and I'm going to go over it with blush, powder, and all kinds of things. So this is just getting it in place and spreading it out a little bit. Just a tip for over 50, but not necessarily a rule, is you may want to experiment with a cream blush. Nothing wrong with powder, but there's something really lovely about cream if your skin gets a little bit drier as you get older. This is Laura Geller Multitasking Cream to Powder, and the color I'm using is Tuscan Coral. And I'm going to take this mineral powder brush. I like that it's a little bit of a dome. Pounce it into that cream blush and put it on my cheekbone. A little bit further back, not quite at the start, back here behind the apples of my cheek. It will go some of it over that highlighter. That's perfectly fine with me. And you don't want to use too much blush as a woman over 50. So that would be the rule. Not too much. You want it to look like you're truly blushing. You want it to look like that might be a natural color that comes from within. So something fresh and youthful looking, a pink or a peach, something that looks like a natural color from your complexion. I'm going to take this little Miss Cargo palette that has 3 shades of brow colors here, and take the lightest color and apply it in my brows to fill them in a bit. Most specifically right at that arch. And then a little bit. You've seen me do this numerous times. Drawing little hairs with the brush on the angle to fill in the front part. I finally remembered where this toothbrush came from. I look at it every time I do a tutorial and say, where the heck did this thing come from? It looks like nothing anybody would buy, but I bet I paid a fortune for it in the hospital. It's sort of like I have a bottle of mouthwash that I got when I was in the hospital delivering my oldest child, who is 30. So I have a bottle that I refill with mouthwash for 30 years, and I use it over and over again, just wash it out in between, fill it up again. And I've had it for 30 years because I think I paid like $40 for that bottle, hospital prices, inflated prices. I'm like, whoa, this must be a very special bottle of mouthwash if they charged $40 for it. So I've kept it for 30 years. I think the one thing we've skipped here is doing a little contouring. Being over 50 and contouring, I would say just keep it light. You don't want any dark brown lines on your face anywhere. So using Benefit Hoola. And I'm just going to warm up the perimeter of my face a bit.
Sure, why not?
I did not put any highlighter there, just a little bronzer down the sides. The less powder, the better. I'm going to use this Milani Prep Set and Glow, which is in number 2. And I'm going to use a brush. This is a Sonia Kashuk brush that is a flat kabuki. And all I'm going to do is apply this to the areas that I have concealer that I need to set very loosely here. Actually, you know what? Let's do a different methodology today, which will take us with an even lighter layer, which is to use this Dampened Beauty Blender. Get a little bit on there. That is a super light layer of powder, and I think that was a great idea. And we're gonna move on to the eyes. So that next rule would be to not listen to those people who tell you that you should not be using any shimmer on eyes that are over 50, because you can definitely use shimmer on eyes that are over 50. I'm gonna use a transition color here. I'm gonna take a neutral color, maybe this one, and then on a fluffy brush, this is a Morphe M something that only people with younger eyes, better eyes could read. I'm just going to use that as a all over color in my crease and on my lids, taking a little more of the same thing for over here. Just a beigey mixture here. In a matte. However, once I do that, there's absolutely no reason that I can't do shimmer on my lids. That's the key to that. Actually, let's use a cream. I have this Color Tattoo Eye Chrome in the color Beige Luster. And it is from Maybelline, and it's a tube like that. And I'm gonna take a little bit of that and put it right, I'll flip it over for this side. Oh, I got it on my lashes. It is a shimmer, it's a chrome, so it's gonna give some shine, and you will see that if I keep it placed on my lid from the center, not gonna go into my outer V area because I'm gonna darken that up out there, but I'm going to put it from the inside corner, 2/3 of the way across, up to the crease, not above it. You can do in here as well if you'd like. Right in that inner corner. That looks like that. So as you can see, if I'm keeping it on my lids and not putting it on any of my skin that comes down a little bit further than it used to, this area right up here, which is above my crease, this is getting a little heavier. It starts to, as the brow kind of pulls down, this eye starts to droop a little bit. Hooded eyes, you've heard about that. And you don't want to put it on the hood part, something shiny, because it'll draw more attention, but it's certainly fine as a little dash of it on your eyelid, which is going to be the firmest part of your eye. I'm going to place a little darker color on my eyes. I think I'm going to go into this very, very dark brown right here. Take it on my pencil brush and apply it right in the crease. And then take what's there, blend it across, and then create a V. Down to my lashes. And then we're gonna need a fluffy brush. This is a MAC 221, and I'm going to, very fluffy, just go back and forth over that line I just created. What I'm going to do is grab my concealer brush and kind of clean up anything that's come below the shape I'm trying to create at my outer corner. And then we need to do something under my eyes to give it a little bit more dimension. I'm going to use something a little bit lighter than that dark color I just used in my crease. So I just used this color here, and I'm going to use this color over here for underneath my eyes. It's a MAC color of I don't know what. Don't forget to connect it at that outer corner. That little area likes to stay bald. And then I'll take a clean blending brush, even if I have to clean it off myself, on a tissue or a towel. And then I will blend that a little bit. Let's get to another rule already. The next rule should not be skipped, and that is to make sure, no matter your age, but especially over 50, to curl your eyelashes. It makes the hugest difference in opening up the eyes and making you look not tired and alert. And as we get older, sometimes our eyes tend to look a little tired on their own because they start to droop in interesting places if you have that kind of aging. Not everybody does. So curling it just that much just opens up the eyes and just makes you look alert. Picking mascara today, I'm going to use Lash Princess in the purple tube from Essence to start because I like the curve on the brush. I don't know if you have one, but some days when my lashes clump, I'm really grateful to have this little lash comb. Just a little tiny metal comb in plastic, and it will separate a clump if you have one. I don't recommend using that while you're driving. Yes, of course I've done that. This one is Get Big Lashes, also from Essence, that will fatten those lashes up. The first one defined them, and this is going to thicken. And then for lip color, I thought I would use this Revlon Color Stay Moisture Stain in Stockholm. It's a little bit deep for me, but I'm going to mix it with a gloss before it dries. It's got a strange little doe foot applicator. Quickly, I'm going to take a gloss from Bare Minerals and mix that into it before it sets. And then I have the 24-hour brow setter, also from Benefit, that I'm going to use to tame my brows. No brow rolls here that I'm sending your way. I forgot to mention the lip roll. The lip roll is that you don't want anything that is too dark and matte on your lips. I started with a stain, which could have been a little bit too dark, but I mixed it with another gloss that made it a little bit lighter and also gave it a little bit of life so that it wasn't just the stain. It has a little shine and slip to it right now, and it's actually setting. And I will put this on just to give us a little even more, but it's not too dark. I took it down to a very neutral shade, and then to make my lips appear a little fuller, because as I'm getting older, my lips are thinning a little bit, and those dark colors will make them look even thinner. And also I have lines, those vertical lines around my lips, and you have a tendency with those darker colors for them to bleed into that and be much more noticeable. And then the only thing I feel I need to figure out before we complete this look is the blush. I either need to powder over it with some powder blush, or I need to put a little powder on it to make it stay. And I am going to powder. I'm going to take that Kabuki brush that I brought down originally and a little bit more of the Prep Set and Glow. Tap it in there. I'm also going over that highlighter, which will make it look like it's underneath as opposed to sitting on top of my skin, and I prefer that look for me, personally. There are no rules for makeup. It's just makeup and it washes up. These are things I've picked up along the way. They said they were rules to do or not to do. You do what you want. Whatever makes you feel pretty, you rock that. I'm Carey, and I'm glad you could stop by today to play with makeup. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel. It's not always makeup. I've got some food episodes that have been popping up lately, fashion, and dating advice, since I am a dating coach. Look forward to seeing you next time, so hit that ring bell, and until then, thank you again, and have a good one.